Well, hey, what's up, everybody? Lee Baker here. Just wanted to do this video to highlight some of the features of the GFI Systems Simlab software for the Synesthesia, the dual modulation pedal that they've recently come out with. This is an updated software, Simlab 2.0, you can see here. And I have pre-recorded some sounds because I want to focus on talking through some of the software. And this is like a few hours of messing around in it. I'm by no means an expert, but just thought this would be helpful for those navigating it, people thinking about checking this pedal out. I'm normally not about pedals with menus on them, like screens that you have to tap through on the pedal. I like to be able to touch all the knobs and turn everything. This one's a little bit different to me because of the software and how user-friendly it is, how easy it is to update and all those sorts of things. I have my pedal hooked up, so I'm going to be able to do some real-time things with the software. However, I did pre-record some sounds because I want to focus on the software itself and not really on the playing. So the first thing I want to do is give you a little bit of context of my clean signal, and then we're going to go through some of the basic sounds. You can see that I've created some algorithms here, some sounds through 6B, which we'll get into these 10 or 12 sounds here and talk a little bit about them. And just let you hear some of what they do. And as we go through the sounds, it'll highlight different options that you have here in the software. I'll kind of talk about those, and it'll be really basic. But just as some context, here is a little clean guitar sound. So that is a 2005 Les Paul Classic PAF pickups, Porter PAF Anthem pickups in it, just so you have a little context. Going through stereo amps, woolly coats, extra spanky on the left, and a 64 blackface Fender Bassman on the right side. So that's kind of how everything is set up. I got a touch of reverb on there, using a little light overdrive as well. And that's the context for the base of it. Humbuckers, Bassman style amplifiers, just so you have an idea what it is. So let's get into the sounds a little bit, talk about some of the parameters and such. So the first is just a basic chorus sound. There's a few choices for chorus algorithms. This is like their basic. You can see inside of here, they've got like a dimension C sort of thing. They got kind of a tri-chorus thing, copping some of the algorithms and sounds of, famous choruses from back in the day. I like the basic chorus sound a lot. It's an algorithm, it's digital, but it's really warm, really nice. One of the things I like about it, just before I let you hear it, is I love that you have these low cut, high cut options. Sometimes when you're playing modulation sounds, chorus, phaser, flanger, sometimes the low stuff can just do things to the sound, like maybe drive the modulation a little bit. Sometimes things like a chorus will make a sound brighter and highlight some of the brighter sounds. So it's nice to be able to cut the lows, cut the highs to varying degrees. You can see here you can cut it to various degrees. I've got that set to 3, and the low cut, same thing. You got about 6 or 7 levels there, or 8 levels, I should say, total. And let me let you hear a little bit of the chorus sound, and here you go. Pretty nice, right? Love the way it sounds. It's a really great chorus sound, really simple. One of the things I love is sometimes with modulation, tremolo in particular, which we'll get into in just a few minutes, but this master volume option over here on the software, just inside each preset, if you feel like it's a little quiet, like tremolo or some modulation sounds can give the appearance that your signal's gotten quieter. And so you can bump it a dB or bump it a couple of dB. You can even see in the waveform over here on the sounds that this waveform looks a little bit smaller than this waveform. If you dB'd them, if you got really critical of the signal and wanted things to match, I may actually bump that a dB, depending on where I'm using this sound in a song. Maybe I need it to be a little bit louder or whatever. But that's a nice option to have for sure. There's more chorus sounds in here. One of the things to mention in this one, I only have the right side of the pedal engaged, and it's coming out stereo. So the dynamic tremolo here it's chosen, you can see is bypassed, and that's a cool thing too. You don't have to use two sounds; you can just use one, which is really nice. So let's talk about the octalean. The octalean is another setting in here. This is actually a stock preset that I like barely tweaked. I thought it was such a cool sound. This is the octave shifter side. This is a chorus, a dimension C kind of thing going on. One of the things in the octave shifter algorithm is there is an option to add reverb like within the sound, within the algorithm. And it's a really good sounding reverb if you've ever heard the GFI Specular Tempest. And also one of the things I should mention is all the sounds are coming through those amps, and they're also coming through the overall sound coming through the GFI Cabzu. So got a lot of their stuff going on right now. Anyway, it sounds like some of the reverb stuff from the Specular Tempest, just that quality. Really good quality reverb to add to things if you want to. And there's a sound we'll get into in a minute where I think we get to highlight some of that if I remember correctly. But this is an octave shifter into a chorus thing. Really cool. I've got it cascading. We'll talk about a couple of different routing options here in just a minute as well. Some cool options in the dimension C. You notice you don't have the high cut, low cut that you have in the normal chorus sound, but you have a natural, and you can make it warm or vibrant, which is a cool option, just kind of a tonal option rather than having high cut, low cut. And you can have a little pre-delay too, which is pretty cool. So anyway, let's listen to this one, and we'll keep on moving. Pretty cool sound, right? Just kind of a different deal with the octaves, picking chords, and a little bit of chorus. I just thought that was kind of cool, kind of unique, especially there. I played it on the bridge, but I was messing around with it in the middle pickup position as well, and I thought that was really, really cool. Really, really cool sound, worthy of keeping. So let's move on. This is a basic octave sound. As you can see, I've only got one side engaged, the other's bypassed, and we're going to look at two octave sounds back to back, actually. This is the sub-octave. You just got a little bit of juice there, octave up, 100% on the dry. I'm not using any of the reverb algorithm that's available, or reverb portion of the algorithm that's available here. And I am only using one side of the pedal, so the routing doesn't matter here. But you'll see it's in stereo. Obviously, I'm running everything in stereo. And one thing I'd like to note is I think this octave tracks really well. One of the reasons why people love pedals like the Pog and the Walrus Audio Luminary, they just track well. What people are looking for most of the time is an octave pedal that tracks really well. I think this one does the job. So here's a little bit of the just normal stereo kind of octave sound. And I did some riffing because kind of quicker single note playing because I want you to be able to hear the tracking and all those sorts of things. So here's a little bit of that octave sound. That's a mix of octaves that I would normally use live. I like, the sub tends to stick out just a little bit, to me a little bit more, so it's obviously a little lower. And a lot of times I'm not looking for a lot of sub in the way that I'm playing. I normally am not playing that busy in context, for most stuff that I play in, but just wanted you to hear how fast it can track. And there's some interval things in that piece as well. I play kind of a similar thing on this next sound. So great octave thing. Here is the same thing, but I've got another one engaged. This is one of the coolest things about this is the ability to route different presets different ways. So this is instead of routing it cascading like these are two pedals back to back, this is routed left and right. So what we've done here, you can see on the right side of the pedal, we've got the octave shifter engaged, no sub, all upper octave. On the left side, we've got no upper octave, only sub-octave, dry at 100%, both sides. I'm not using any of the reverb on either one of these. on there, so that's all turned off. But just to give you a little bit of context, it's a little different. It's really cool to play a stereo octave. It's also really cool to do this with the octaves split if you can play in stereo, and it just sounds really, really cool. I'm going to go back and play just a little bit of the last portion here so you can see. This is the past sound. This is a basic octave in stereo. All right, now here is the octave sound split, low left, high octave right. I just think it's super, super cool to be able to split those sounds. That is just an opportunity that I've never had in a modulation pedal I've owned before, or any pedal that I've owned before, to split things and send them down lefts and rights, especially an octave pedal. So I think that's absolutely cool. Let's work through another couple sounds. Harmonic trim sounds great. I'm a huge fan of analog trim most of the time. It's great to have this on this pedal because you can get a lot out of one space on your board, which is really awesome. And one of the reasons why I got into this pedal in the first place, why I wanted to check it out, is just the algorithms are great. It's great to have all this stuff in one spot on the board. I'll always prefer analog harmonic trim. I just think it's great. The Monument from Walrus Audio, incredible. I think one of, if not the best sounding harmonic tremolos on the market. The Chase Bliss Gravitas, also an amazing tremolo that has a harmonic option in it as well. But this is a great algorithm and great to have in one spot on the board. And there's a lot of control. You can see the wave shape, panning, whether you want it to pan mono or stereo. You can kind of get a subtle kind of vibrato going there. You can pick the crossover frequency if you know about harmonic tremolo and how the lows and highs cross over and all that sort of stuff. You can pick that there. But anyway, and you can, like I said earlier about master volume, you can bump this if you feel like it is, sometimes tremolo can give you that perception that your volume's lower when you kick a tremolo pedal on. And so you could compensate for it if you like. But great sound, great options. Here's a little bit of that harmonic tremolo sound. Pretty cool, pretty great sound to me, and I love harmonic tremolo. It's my favorite version of tremolo. This is a basic tape flange. Love it. You can go additive, subtractive. I've got additive on. You can wow and flutter. You don't have a lot of control over the wow and flutter. It's just on or off, is what it is. But this is a great sound. Great sound in flange. I'll just let you hear a little bit of it. Not much to say there. It's just a great option to have. So here's a little bit of the flange sound. Pretty great. Moves back and forth, got a good stereo vibe to it. I super love how that sounds. You can get a little bit more of a 0-point crossover if you're familiar with flanges, using the subtractive mode. You can get a lot of sounds of this, and there's a dynamic flange, which is really cool. There's a sample and hold thing, which we won't get into the sample and holds in this video, but I may do something else on it in a bit. So great tape flange sound. This sound is modeled sort of after the Boss slow gear, that volume swell, the auto swell sort of vibe, and I think it's really great. I set it up here with a detune in it. This was sort of based off a already generated, like a stock preset as well, and I love the detune in here. I think it's awesome. It's another kind of chorusy modulation sort of thing. You know, it lives in this chorus flanger fam here in the swirls section of the algorithm menu there. But just so you can hear it, you know, you can set the threshold, you can set the feedback, the tone, all those sorts of things. I let the decay go long at the end of this so you can kind of hear how the decay goes as well. And you judge for yourself. You know, I think it's a pretty cool representation of what that auto swell thing sort of does. So. Kind of hear how the decay goes on that. It's really great. Great sound. Really cool. Sending these into each other is cool. I've done some messing around with the routing and done a left-right split on 2 of the slow volume of algorithms set exactly the same. It's really cool. There's just really cool options that you can mess around with this. I want to look at this ARP phaser next. So there is, I don't have the left side engaged. You can see that's bypassed. So we're just working on the right. There are arpeggiators in all these different forms here, which are new to this, to the 2.0 Simlab, new to the firmware 2.0, which already has a 2.0.1. That's awesome. Just worked out a little bit of the bugs they did over there at GFI, and it sounds great. The ARP is sort of its own thing. I'm going to let you hear it, and then we'll look at some different things. So here is the ARP phaser. That was the ARP that I worked on and set up. So check this out. Pretty cool sound. In the ARP, this will be the last one we look at in this video, but the ARP is a really cool feature to this because not only do you have the selection over here and you get some of the parameters you can choose from like a normal phaser. So you can choose the stages and the resonance and the depth and mix and some of that stuff, but you also get some things with that are more on the arpeggiator side of things, and you can actually go over to this editor, which is what I'm looking at here, this ARP phaser. You can choose the number of steps, which I have it set to 8th, so it's kind of working in a bar in 8th notes. You can set it up so that it locks to MIDI clock, which is just amazing because then you can have this stuff mixed in behind your sound. So if you're just playing like some diamond chords like that, I had it a little more pronounced so you can hear it, but you could sneak it in behind some chords. Man, just add some incredibly cool textures to just diamond single stroke chords. You know, you can pick the steps. You've got 8 choices here, you know, all the way up to the octave and the scale. You can set those however you want. You can snap these to grid, which means it's snapped to a note, or you can uncheck this and you can slide them in between notes if you want to do that. You can save up to 4 sequences of your own over here, and then there's the default factory sequences that you can load, which are just super, super cool. There's no option to edit Y. You get into some XY editing with some of the other ARP things. And so the ARP editor and the ARP sounds and all of that is brand new to Simlab, brand new to the Synesthesia, but just another way that this makes this so flexible, so cool. Because not only do you have great, like we looked at, choruses and trims and flangers and, you know, the normal stuff, but you got a great octave, which is kind of cool inside of this pedal as well. You got volume swell stuff, you got arpeggiation stuff. Just there's really a lot to this pedal, but I just wanted to highlight a few of these sounds, talk a little bit about the software so you can kind of get your mind around. It's really easy to work. I have my pedal hooked up via USB right now. You can write to the pedal, you can read from the computer, from the pedal to the computer, you can back up stuff, back up your presets, so in case something happens you can just restore the pedal to factory and reload those. So I've made sure to do that after I started working on these first 10 or 12 presets, and I'll probably do another one of these, feature a few more presets. But appreciate you guys joining me. Go check out this great pedal from GFI Systems, the Synesthesia, and feel free to share this video, man. Thanks guys for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.